Hey everybody, we are here for our Friday Fast class, 5 p.m. on a Friday, where I share with you some really easy tips and tricks that are going to help you in growing your business and helping you to start using things online that you may not be aware of. So thank you to those of you who are joining me live this afternoon. I know 5 o'clock on a Friday isn't always an easy time, but then I guess when is ever a good time for everybody. So hopefully you can have a look back on this later. If you are watching me live, please jump into the comments and say hello. If you haven't already clicked the little link that says join StreamYard or notify StreamYard so that I can see your name, then I won't actually see your name. It'll just say Facebook user. So if you can click that link, that will allow me to see your name. And please, as you're watching this, please throw in comments, feedback, questions, anything, because I can answer them as we go. Now, before this, I started this live this afternoon, I had everything set up ready to go, and then everything crashed and I lost all the slides that I had. So I'm still kind of just working out how I'm going to share those with you, but I'm sure that we will get a move on and work out how to do that pretty quickly. So firstly, if you are here, please jump in and say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. And this session is going to be really, really valuable if you've got a whole bunch of ideas in your head. And, you know, now is the time where we're thinking about things so differently. We've got all these amazing ideas, but we just don't know how to get them out of our heads onto paper and then get somebody to help us do them, because sometimes we can't always do them ourselves, which, you know, is another problem in itself. Hi Sam, thank you so much. It's really nice to have that nice feedback. I really appreciate it, and it's always nice knowing that somebody's online with me, because you know, it's getting that bounce back and knowing that I'm not talking to myself. So thank you very much. So let's get started on this. I'm actually going to share my screen because otherwise it's going to be a bit difficult. So bear with me while I do that and get this presentation up for you. And here we go. Okay. So hopefully everybody is seeing this okay. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is identifying the vital need that you have. Now, this is really important because it's really easy for us to have 100 different tasks on our to-do list. And I have always been a to-do lister. I've always been someone that has a list and writes down, you know, 30 things that I know that I want to do. My problem used to be that when I wrote that list, it'd be in a notebook, and within about half an hour, I would have flipped that page over and I would have been on to writing notes about the next best thing. The trouble with that, obviously, is that we don't have a guide to go by, and we're also getting overwhelmed by the amount of things on our list, rather than just looking at the key critical things that are going to make the most impact right now. So what is your vital need right now? What is the thing that is going to either relieve you of the thing that's taking the most time? So basically, what is the thing that's going to give you back the most time? Okay, because we all know that time is our number one valued commodity. If we feel like we have more time, then we feel like we're going to get much more done. So based on that, what is it that is the number one thing that you know is either sapping your time, or that if you had somebody else do for you, it would give you that time back? So you can do a task audit, which I absolutely love. And that's a very, very simple process of just recording all of the things that you do in your day. You do it for 3 to 5 days. You just write down everything that you do, and then you look back on it and you assess that. You kind of categorize those. I've actually got a link that I'll put into the notes that shows you exactly how to do that. I don't want to waste a lot of time on that today. But once you've done that task audit, it gives you a very good snapshot of the things that you're currently doing in your business that are taking up your time. You can also brain dump things that you want to do but you're not doing. So that could be because you don't have the time, it could be because you don't know how, it could be because you just don't know what you need to do. So brain dump and throw all of those things in there as well. That's going to basically identify to you where your biggest gap is and where the biggest time sappers are, and then help you identify what it is that you can do next. Okay? So that's that first thing. The next thing is you want to choose a platform, and that's what today is all about. Now, there are so many different platforms, but the key things to remember here are that you want it to be easy to use. So you want it to be something that is not going to feel like a task in itself. It's going to be simple, easy to use. It's collaborative, which means that you can share it with other people or assign tasks to somebody else. And it's also going to be visual. So, when I say visual, it's going to give you a dashboard and a snapshot of exactly what it is that you need to have done, okay? And then someone else is going to be able to see that if you're then collaborating and delegating to somebody else, because obviously that's the point of this. We don't want to be doing all of that ourselves. So there's a number of different platforms that I have used before. There's so many out there. Do your research, find the one that works for you. I find the top three at the moment that are probably getting the most use and I feel have the most value in them is Trello. Now, Trello is a free tool. It's easy to use. It's very visual. It's got some really great boards that you can set up. I like it. It looks great, and it's collaborative. It does everything that you need it to do. It can also link with, other management systems that you may be using. But to keep it simple, something like Trello, Asana, or Basecamp, out of those three, I think any one of those would be fantastic to use. Now, with those, I currently use Basecamp. I find Basecamp a really simple system and I use it with my contractors. So it is the one thing I feel that works the best for us. So the next thing is you want to create a shell of your project. Now, this is high level stuff. So I'm going to actually share my screen and show you how to do that. I just need to go back into StreamYard and stop that screen and then share the next screen. Thanks, Sam. I'm just going to jump in here and answer your things as well. You use Asana. I can't see who that is, but someone has just put in there that they use Asana and it works for them. I think that's fantastic. Any one of them are a fantastic tool. So it really doesn't matter which one you're using as long as you're using something. So let me share my screen again, and this time we're going to actually have a look at my demo, and this is basically a structured system in the way that I use it. So we've done the task audit. We throw everything onto paper. So we've got all of the things that we're doing and we identify some of those projects that we really want to get off the ground. So you create a project. So your first project here, I'm calling it a demo, but it could be increase your marketing through blogs, okay? So you're going to increase your marketing through these blogs. Let's have a look at how that works, okay? I'm just going to go back. Are you seeing? Okay. I might just put it on full screen if that's okay, because that might make it a little bit easier for everybody to see. I hope that's better. So going back to here, increasing your marketing through blogs. I've set up the project. You can add and invite people to the project so that you're not the only one on it if you do have a team already. If you don't currently have a team, don't worry about it. You don't need to have a team to get started. And I think this is the really important thing. If it's just you in the business and you just need a structured way to get the ideas out of your head and onto paper so that you can see what it is that you want to work on, by all means, just start using it yourself. You don't need to have anybody else that you're sending work off to or doing anything with. Once you do that, you then start creating what we call to-do lists. Okay, so these to-do lists are fantastic. Now you can move them around. Once you start using them, you'll get used to it more and more. So let me just add one so that you can see how it works. So we add a to-do list. You give it a title. So you will have sat down and said, all right, what are the steps relating to, what's every step, you know, relating to increasing marketing through blogs? Okay, and you know, this step that we're talking about here is just basically breaking down. So we've selected the project, we know what it is, we know what platform we're using. The next step that we're wanting to have a look at is completely breaking down the tasks. So, you know, you can create your shell, but you can't create your shell until you understand what you're breaking down, okay? So I've basically broken this down, increasing marketing through blogs. I've broken it down into a number of things. The first thing is topic research, all right? The second thing that I'm going to create is creating a topic calendar and schedule. So we're basically doing high-level, top-level stuff. We're not adding all the little bits and pieces yet. We're just creating the actual task list. The third thing is we want to create content, and the fourth thing is we want to distribute or promote the content. So they're your high-level list, task lists, okay? Your to-do lists, so to speak. Once you've got that, so let's just say this is my test task, okay? You save and you start adding your to-do list underneath it. And this is where we, you know, the funniest thing is I like to see that people break things down. But what I realize a lot of people do is they break it down to a certain point without realizing it needs to then keep breaking down even further and further. It's like that, break it down to within an inch of its life, right? So it needs to be broken all the way down until it can't be broken down any further. So let's have a look at that. For example, let's have a look at topic research, all right? Well, topic research can break down into research what topics are hot right now. Could that be broken down even further? Yeah, it probably could. So in that case, what you would do is say, well, how are we going to do that? So maybe what we do is we're going to go in there and we're going to Google search. Google search through whatever the platform is that let us know what topics are hot right now. Okay, and if you don't know what that is, then you need to research what that is. So you're basically breaking it down and down and down. If you've got anything else that you need to add, you can add there. But right now, we're just breaking it down and we're adding a comment to that to say this is how we want it done. Now, another one of the sessions that I've done previously actually shows you how to create like a video process on how to do something, okay? So that video process on how to do that can be added in that discussion comment, all right? So in here, it can be added and you can basically put in exactly how you want that done if it's a process that you want to hand over to somebody else. So you just keep going and you keep adding and you go research keywords. What else do I put under there? When you've broken that down as far as it can go and you've added all of the comments that need to go in there, you move on to the next thing. All right, create topic calendar. What do we need to do there? We need to set a weekly, fortnightly calendar schedule for delivery. We need to create content topics a week ahead. So again, go in there. How do you want that to happen? So all of this is assuming that you've got an idea on what you actually, or a strategy on how you're going to increase that marketing through blogs. If you don't have the strategy, you need to go and do that first so that you can then outline your way of moving forward. So you've got to have that first before you can then move through and start to add that. Now, that's all very well. We've created our shell, we've created our topics, we've created our how-tos and our tasks. Within that, we've broken it down to within an inch of its life. Once you get to that point, what's next? So this is the interesting thing. Okay, so once you've broken it down to an inch within of its life, then you need to work out how you're going to set due dates and assign it and prioritize it to people. Okay, so in here, you're going to have a look and say, out of these 4 steps, what is my number one key first activity? So I would say that your first step is your topic research here. What topics are hot right now? So what you're going to do is say, all right, who is going to do that? Is it me? Is it someone else? Do I need to find somebody else? It may be that you don't have anybody on your team, so you need to find a resource to do that. If you have a virtual assistant, perfect topic for them and task for them to do. So you could go here and you could say, I'm going to assign that, and let's just pretend that me is a virtual assistant. I'm going to assign that to my virtual assistant, and I'm also going to set a due date that I want her to have that done by Thursday of next week. Okay, you can then go and add a comment on there, you know, dear VA, can you please start on this, and let me know if you have any questions along the way. You can make sure that there's comments in there, and that is where your VA or your team member will communicate to you based around that particular task. So everything stays in the one place. Everything's here. You can refer back to it. When that task is actually completed, you can tick it off. So there's your to-do list done. You've actually completed that and it's done. So this is a great way of tracking. You have access to any task that is completed as well. You can see the activity. You can also go in and have a look at your calendar, which I really love here as well. And you can have a look at your calendar and go, all right, what is due? So you can see what's due and you can see who has to do that. You can have a look at your tasks. It's a really great way of tracking and keeping a track of things. So my question is everybody following that? Is that clear? Is that something that you think you could jump on board with and, you know, start to implement in your business? You know, is there anything around using a project management system? I mean, it's a fairly simple structure. It's a fairly easy process. What I find though is it's just such a good way of looking back on something, being able to add to it, not having lists and lists of to-do lists everywhere. You've got it in one place. Yeah, it's just a really fantastic system. Sam, you've put in a question saying, how do you do your keyword search? Yeah, good question. There's a number of ways to do that. And our VA team has a process and a system around doing that I would be happy to share with you. There's a number of different ways that you can do it. There's a number of different platforms as well, but I can certainly share that with you and share that with the group later. I think the other thing that resourcing and sort of assigning those tasks, don't feel like you have to do everything yourself. Don't feel like you have to actually perform every part of that task. One thing that I find really useful is if you've got that task like I had as the demo of increasing your marketing through blogs, a lot of people get overwhelmed with the fact that it seems like a lot of work. Just remember, if you resourced it properly, all you have to do yourself is actually record a video, right? Just record a 2 to 5 minute video yourself. And then you could have a virtual assistant or your assistant or anybody follow a process to actually distribute and get that content out. And all you have to do is one part of that step. But you won't know what the other parts of the step are until you go through that identification process and until you learn how to use a platform to then be able to collaborate and use. a lot of people I know use things like Slack and platforms like that. I find Slack is a really good communication tool, but not as great when it comes to clear project management and assigning of tasks like I've just shown you. That's why I love Asana. That's why I love Basecamp and Trello, because they really, really do it in a very, very easy to follow order. But yeah, I mean, that's as simple as it gets. If anybody has any questions, please throw them into here, but I'd be more than happy to work with anybody that is struggling to work out what platform might work best for them, or struggling to work out how to use or identify their tasks, because that is definitely the number one step. If you don't know how to identify your tasks, it's going to be really hard for you then to follow that process of putting everything into a project management system so that you can delegate what you want. So that's really, really important. Sam, I'm totally disorganized in Slack. I agree, right? I find Slack very confusing. I find that you can set up 30 different channels, and it's great if you've probably got, a big team and you're trying to manage the channels, but I don't think it's good for organizing what you want to achieve in your day. I think definitely these other platforms are much better. Monday as a platform. Look, yeah, there's nothing wrong with Monday as well. I haven't used it, and only because I love Asana and Basecamp and Trello so much that I haven't needed to look at a different platform, Sam. So I can't really give you feedback on that, but I do know people that are using that platform. And I do know people that are quite happy with it. It just depends what you're trying to achieve out of it, And I think using a platform that is free, that you don't need to pay for, is probably most people's best bet right now. So if it can be easy for you, it doesn't need to have all the bells and whistles. It just needs to be I think the simplest thing is it just needs to be able to create a project with tasks and subtasks that you can assign to somebody and set a due date. And that is easy to look at visually, and for you to actually keep track of, and for the person that you're working with to also keep track of. That's the crux of it. So I think if you go out and you find something and you start working with it and it works well for you, again, I'd go out and try and start using a free platform first and see how that works. Then beyond that, it's really going to be up to personal taste, because most of these platforms all do the same thing. So hopefully that's been helpful. So any other questions, please throw into the comments for me. I will answer those later on after this. These videos also go up to my YouTube channel, which is Living in a Virtual World. So if you ever need to refer to them again later on, then you can go to my playlist, which is Friday FASTCLASS, and have a look at those. They're really useful to look back on, and I will be, I'm just in the process at the moment of putting together a self-paced online course around all of this stuff where we dig deep, but also I'm going to do a 2 to 3 hour workshop that focuses, on one specific thing, and, I'll basically be there with you, helping you implement that, because I believe that you can learn so many different things, but unless you actually physically implement and work with it and refine it, then it's not going to be of any use to you. I don't know about you, but the amount of times I've downloaded a brand new program and thought it was the bee's knees because everyone else was using it, and then I never got around to using it, or it just sits there and it does nothing. Slack is one of those things that kind of just sits there and does nothing for me. But Basecamp is definitely one of those things that I've been using, because it just orders my thoughts. All right. So there we go. Anything else, let me know. But thanks again for joining me, Sam. I really appreciate the fact that you join me every Friday. It means a lot to me. And it's really nice to have somebody that is engaged in the content. So yeah, thank you again, and enjoy your weekend, everybody. I look forward to seeing you next Friday. Take care.